Well, I had to bite the bullet and eventually change that heater control valve on my Mercedes E220 CDI 2008 W211. That was the part number of the valve that I needed. I also needed some antifreeze, some coolant, because obviously I didn't spill some out, just so you can get the part numbers. One thing I did find a schematic that shows the actual part itself, which is down here. And on this diagram, it sort of suggests that these clips and O-rings are separate items, yet on the part I bought, they actually came integrated already as part of the valve itself, so I didn't need these extra clips or components, but I'm guessing that's for maybe it's an older model. This is the tools that I ended up just using. I put the tape measure in just so you can get a feel for the length of some of the things. Long nose pliers, some long hooks. These ones are just 90 degrees ones, but just so you get a feel for the type of thing that I needed to do with those. But I'll just show you the old valve that I took off anyway as to what the problem it was. Here's the old valve. I was quite curious as to why it had failed, so I just smashed it, took it apart, and I think it's self-explanatory as to why this valve completely failed. Yeah, it's just rotted away over the year. It's been on the car 16 years, so I can't complain too much. Unfortunately, I didn't actually do a video of me changing the whole valve because it's really tight down there and I needed two hands. But there's the new replacement valve. Now, some of the videos I've seen, people take the windscreen wipers off and they take this cowl off and everything else. What I found was, if I just removed, on my car anyway, this rubber trim here, I was then able to remove these plastic inserts here and here, which effectively gave me a lot more access. You can't really see, but a lot more access down there, which meant I could just get my hands in. Also, this metal here, it's quite thin, and I was able to bend it backwards and forwards just to get the old valve out. The way that I did it, I used the long nose pliers. I was able to grab the, I can't really show you there, grab that clip there, slide it all the way up the hose and remove that hose. I was able to use my hook tool to grab a hold of the actual hooks there, so I could pull that and remove that valve. Did the same with the other two. Once it's cowled out the way, you'll see it's a lot easier. And use the hook tool there. I was then able to get my hands down. Now, I'm going to point out I do have, you know, delicate digits, thin hands. I was able to get them in and be able to pull that valve out and swap it back out with the new one. It did take about an hour and a half, 2 hours, but just a couple of gotchas that I'll point out is you need to obviously disconnect this wire here, which goes into the brake reservoir. Mercedes and the geniuses, that connector is exactly the same as the one that goes on the bottom hose, on the valve, sorry. So when I disconnected that and disconnected the electrical wire on the valve and got the valve out, and then I put the new valve in, I put my hands up, I ended up putting this connector on the valve, which was a right pain because I then had to take it back out to put the right wire back on. So definitely mark this wire up before you take it out. Also, I'm not sure if you can see, there's actually two hoses going into the valve down there at this side. I put a little dab of paint on one of the valve, on one of the hoses, and another dab of paint on the valve itself, so that when it came out I knew which hose went to which connector. The other thing that I found is when you're manipulating, putting this pipe along here out, don't ignore this and this, because you will end up wrestling it back in, and just be careful that you don't capture yourself on that. So all in all, it took us about an hour and a half just to get that out. Yes, I have scraped hands and knuckles, as others have said. The other thing that I found invaluable, you can see it's nicely lit down there. That's because I've just got this head torch, which is just a head torch. Without that, you can't see a thing down there. So unless you've got good lighting to be able to see what's down there for that valve, I really wouldn't get it. Other thing I would possibly suggest is possibly, if you can, buy 2 valves, because once you've got it down the bottom and you're trying to reconnect the hoses, if you pull too hard on one of these, it actually comes off. I tried to do it one-handed, but these metal clips actually come off. And if you've got the valve in situ down at the bottom, you then have to take the valve out, get a little magnetic tool to pick the clip up to bring it back out, to put it back on again. So definitely have a bit of practice first. As the valves were only 35, 40 quid, possibly buy another one just as a spare, just to practice on.